Okay, peace and grace, peace and grace. Once again, this is Koluka Solo by Otito. Ubuntu Techie. So, what I'm here to bring to you today, in my earlier studies, I brought out the territories of Ham, Shem, and Japtheth in the book of Jubilees. You can check out my videos, my last couple of videos to view that. Okay. But you see what we have here in front of us, right? This is just proof of the things that I was bringing forward. All right. So what we're looking at here is a document. It's from a book called A Dictionary of the Bible. Okay. Let you see the title of the book. This is the title of the book, as you can see right here. Okay. It's called The Dictionary of the Bible. Antiquities, Biography, Geography, and Natural History. All right. It was written in, let's blow that up a little bit, in 1868. It was written. All right. It's written in 1868. All right. That's well over 150 years ago. All right. Dictionary of the Bible. And this highlighted this one point that I tried to showcase when I gave the breakdown of the territories of Shem, right? Because in one part it says it was his right border, his eastern borders runs into the abyss of waters. I gotta read it because I'm just I don't want to butcher everything up, you know what I'm saying? But let's read the scriptures and then we're going to come back here. Let's read the scripts and then we're going to come back here. All right. So I'm reading from the book of Jubilees. I'm reading chapter 8, verses 10. Again, this is the book of Jubilees, chapter 8, verses 10. And there came out a writing, and there came out on the writing as the lot for Shem, the middle of the earth, which he and his children should have an inheritance for the generations unto eternity. From the middle of the mountain Raphu, from the exit of the waters of the river Tina, and his portion goes towards the west, through the midst of this river, and they go until they approach to the abyss of the waters, out of which comes this river. This river empties and pours its water into the sea Miyat. And this river goes into the great sea. Then it says, all that is towards the north is Japtheth, and all that is in the direction of the south is Shem's. All right. So in the video, I want you to go back and check it out because I'm not going to do the whole breakdown in this video. I just wanted to prove a couple of pointers and bring forth some more evidence of the things that I brought forth. Okay, so in this part it says, and this portion goes towards the west through the midst of this river, talking about the river Tina. I told you I thought that was the Blue Nile. And the Blue Nile goes west and it runs into the Nile, right? And just like this explains here, and they go until they approach to the abyss of the waters. See, that would leave some confusion there, like what is the abyss of the waters, right? Then it says out of which comes this river, and this river empties and pours its water into the sea Miat. So it goes into from the Blue Nile to the Nile. Then it pours its water into the Mediterranean Sea. Now let's get this proof about this abyss of waters. You know what I'm saying? I told you I first came across it in the language of the Ugandans, because that's what they called it. They called it the abyss. The word that they used was maku. When I looked up abyss in the Hebrew, that's what I got. I got maku something. But I figured it was shortened, you know, a shortened version of the same word. So anyways, we found a book. Okay. And that's where this comes in at, the Dictionary of the Bible, written in 1868. Okay. Written in 1868. You see that right there, right? 1868. That's the years are written in. All right. And it says right here, with the Egyptians, it's talking about the Nile. With the ancient Egyptians, the river was sacred and had, besides its ordinary name already given, a sacred name, under which it was worshipped, Happy or Happy Mu. And then in quotations it says the abyss, or the abyss of waters, or the hidden. Okay, so that verifies that translation, that when it runs into the abyss, it's talking about the Nile River. I just wanted to bring that proof forward again. You got one from the language of the Ugandans, because that's what they call the Nile River. You know what I'm saying? The abyss, in their own language, not in English. All right, but it translates into the abyss. And then this water runs into the Mediterranean Sea, which they call the Miat in the book of Jubilees. Now, it's important because this is telling you that this is the eastern border of the land of Shem. This is the borderline on the east side, which is, as we can see with proof, is the Nile River. Now let's go back, okay? Let's go back, because there's another part in here too. All right. And I'm going to show you something about Ham's land too, with a little proof there too. Okay, so here it says in dividing Shem's land, it says, and this is chapter 9, verse 2, and Shem also divided among his sons, and the first portion came forth for Elam and his sons towards the east of the river Tigris, until it approaches the east, the whole land of India, and on the Erythraean and its coast, the waters of the Dan, and the mountains of Mibri and Allah, and all the land of Suzanne, and all that is on the side of Pharnak to the Erythraean Sea and the river Tina. I wanted to bring out this point right here, the whole land of India, just so we're not confused. We're not talking about the modern land of India, but which was previous in time, is that the east coast of Africa was at that time known as India. And this is proof. This is my second proof I brought forth, because I already brought forth from another book. You know, when you go check out the video on the breakdown of the revelation of Jubilees, you would see I brought forth another proof. So this is basically my second proof. And this is a book called The Negro Land of the Arabs. Okay. This is the title of the book. The Negro Land of the Arabs. It was written in 1841. We see this. We see that right there today, right? Blow that up a little bit. It was written in 1841. Okay. Negro land of the Arabs. All right. And what does it say? It says, I'm going to read this sentence. About 90 years back, a nation called in their own country Gangedes in Congo, Jagas in Angola, and Guendes in India. And then in quotations mark, it has Eastern Africa. All right. Zimbabwe in Ethiopia, quotation Abyssinia. All right. So current Ethiopia used to be called Abyssinia. Okay. Gallus, and then Sierra Leone, Zumbas, Quambas, and Ingeric, probably for Cumbas, which name they changed for Maines, and who lived on human flesh. Okay, basically, it was saying that they was talking about somebody, what they called themselves and what they're called in different countries. And they said in India, which is Eastern Africa, there's called Gwendis. Gwendis. I guess that's how you pronounce it. But the point I wanted to bring out, right? And this is page 159, by the way. 136. It's 136 in the book, but 159 in the PDF. All right. And it says, in India, in quotation mark, Eastern Africa. In ancient times, Eastern Africa was known as India. Right. So even when you're talking about the story of Esther, you know what I'm saying? How, King Ahasuerus, I guess that's how you pronounce it. Ahasuerus, he ruled from India to Ethiopia. He's talking about he ruled from the west coast, from the east coast of Africa to the west coast of Africa. Okay. We got to put things in proper context to really understand what was happening in ancient times. Right. So in India, it says in India, quotation mark, Eastern Africa. All right. Now let's go back to the text. There's something else I wanted to show. All right. Because I said that the land of Ham went all the way to the Americas. You know what I'm saying? I mean, South America specifically. And went from a portion of Africa, not like how people think that the whole Africa was Ham's land. No, they had a particular portion. Let's read it in verse 20 in chapter 8 of Jubilees. Okay, it's chapter 8, verse 20 in the book of Jubilees. And it reads in this manner. And for Ham, oh, snaps. Oh, sorry about that. And for Ham came and for Ham came out as a second portion beyond the Gihon toward the south to the right of the garden, and it proceeds to all the fire mountains and goes towards the west. See that? And goes towards the west to the sea Atil, and goes to the west until it reaches the sea of Maut. Now, I explained the sea Atil is the Atlantic Ocean, and then it goes all the way to the west till it reaches the sea of Maut. I told you that was the Pacific Ocean. Okay, and I brought forth some proof. I even brought forth a video of the Hawaiians, what they used to call the Pacific Ocean. Okay, but I also want to bring forth this. I got this from another edition of the Book of Jubilees, where the person who translated it even said it. You know what I'm saying? So let's take a look at that. Let's take a look at that edition of Jubilees. Okay. So I'm coming from the Book of Jubilees. It's written by R.H. Charles. Okay. In 1902, this edition was printed. Now, I got to tell you, this R.H. Charles got a couple of different versions. So it won't have the comment. Some versions won't have the commentary like this one does. Okay. So this one came from, just want to show that, from the library, Wellesley College. That's where this one come from. So you know you got the right one. You got the red book from the library of Wellesley College. And okay, the year 1902 by R.H. Charles, right? The Book of Jubilees. Now we just read that what it says about the land of Ham. Now this is what he wrote in the explanation of it, right? Because you know he did his interpretation of everything. As you see here in verse 22 in chapter 8, it says, and for Ham came forth the second portion beyond the Gihon towards the south to the right of the garden, and it extends towards the south, and it extends to the mountains of fire, and it extends towards the west to the sea, a tail, and it extends towards the west till it reaches the sea of Mu'uk, that sea into which everything which is not destroyed descends, right? And then from there it goes north. So it went west. Then in the next verse 23, and it goes forth towards the north to the limits of Gadir. And I told you that was somewhere around the Caribbean islands. Okay, then it goes back towards the east, you know, towards the Mediterranean Sea, towards the Atlantic Ocean again. Okay, but this is what he wrote about the Etel. So some people think I'm doing my own interpretations. I don't know. I'll be researching. Even though I had already had it right, but I can now bring forth proof because it's already there. It was just in my spirit, but it's already, the proof is already out there. I just needed to find it. You know what I'm saying? So as we can see here, by his own admission, by his own interpretation, the Etel is the Atlantic. I'm reading from the commentary section, right? The Etel is the Atlantic. So Ham's land went to the Atlantic, right? It crossed the Atlantic, right? Then it goes to the extreme west to the sea Ma'uk. All right. Now guess what this says? This sea or ocean lies in the extreme west. Right? And then it goes on to say, is the word a distortion of something, the great ocean stream? Folks, they're talking about the Pacific Ocean. You know what I'm saying? I showed you the little Hawaiian video, what they call the Pacific Ocean. So you could go check that out. You know what I'm saying? The other video, the breakdown of the revelation of Jubilees, showcasing the land of Ham, Ham, and Japtheth, right? The border of Shem on the eastern side is the Nile. Let's go back to that. I'm going to close with that because I want that to be remembered. Put that in remembrance. All right. The abyss, as you approach the abyss, the Shem land, the abyss of waters. And this portion goes towards the west through the midst of this river. And they go until they approach to the abyss of the waters, out of which comes this river. I gotta read that right, yo. I ain't reading that right. Okay. And it says, from the middle of the mountain Rafu, from the exit of the water of the river Tina, and this portion goes towards the west through the midst of this river, which I said was the Blue Nile. Okay. And they go until they approach to the abyss of waters, which I broke down was the Nile River. Okay. Out of which comes this river, And this river empties and pours its waters into the Sea Miat, which is the Mediterranean Sea. Okay. This river goes towards the Great Sea, which is the Atlantic Ocean. So it goes from the Nile, which is called the Abyss, to the Mediterranean, which is the Miat. Miat goes into the Great Sea, which is the Atlantic Ocean. Right. So again, let me show that definition of the abyss. Right. The abyss. It says, we're talking about the Nile River here. As we can see, this is page 627 of a dictionary of the Bible. Dictionary of the Bible, written in 1868. Make sure y'all can see that really good. Written in 1868. Okay. Dictionary of the Bible. And it says, all right, from the use of the word, from the use of the plural, we must suppose them to be confluents or tributaries of the Nile. With the ancient Egyptians, the river was sacred and had, besides its ordinary name already given, a sacred name, under which it was worshipped, called Hapi or Happy Mu. I'm gonna get some breakdown on that when I talk about the 4 rivers of Eden, because that really helped out right there. And then it says the abyss or the abyss of waters. Now, what did we just read in the book of Jubilees? That it was that the one river that went west ran into the abyss of waters. Right there. Okay. Ran into the abyss of waters, right? Oops. Abyss of waters, or the hidden, okay, corresponding to the regions of Egypt, the upper country, and the lower. The Nile was called Happy Rest, the southern Nile, Happy Mihit, the northern Nile, okay, the former name applying to the river in Nubia as well as Upper Egypt. Right, so this was talking about the Nile. That's page 627, coming from a dictionary of the Bible. Again, the Nile represents the eastern coast of the land of Shem. You know what I'm saying? All right. This is for all those that has the peace within them to receive the truth. And I would say, don't hate the player. Master the game. I'm Koluka Solo. Otito Mbundu. Also known as Old Producer. Saying peace and grace. Till next time.